Oftentimes, the evaluations share with us that this is people's favorite part of the event, not because of the fact that these aren't necessarily keynote speakers, but those keynote speakers are powerful, and you're about to now eavesdrop in on a conversation between three executives. I'll be asking them questions, but you'll be listening in on this conversation between the three of them about how they got to where they are today and what they're thinking about the environment that we're in right now. So about to join me on stage, if you will, please welcome from Osler, Natalie Munroe, the Chief Osler Officer of Transaction and Legal Operations. Let's hear it. From Accenture, we have Kristine Osgoode. Where's Accenture in the hall? Yes, the Canadian National Lead of Accenture Security. And we also have from EDC, Agatha Alstrom. Let's hear it, EDC. Agatha has some friends. She's the Vice President, Insurance and Working Capital Solutions. Thank you so much for joining us here on the panel today. And again, as I say, I'm going to ask you some questions, and then I'm just going to sit back and just enjoy listening to your conversation that they get to sort of listen in on as well. So if we could, off the very start then, if you would, Natalie, why don't you tell a little bit about where you've come from and how you got to be with us here today?
Sure. So I went to law school at McGill. And I started my legal career in New York with Cravath, Swaine & Moore. I was a corporate associate focused on mergers and acquisitions and capital markets financings. I also had a stint in their London office, which was really exciting. It was a really interesting time back in the early 2000s to be both in New York and in London. I then decided to come back to Canada and joined Osler at that time. I spent a few years practicing and then had an opportunity to be seconded to Scotiabank to cover for a few different maternity leaves. And unbeknownst to Osler, I had actually had an interest in going in-house. I was really interested in learning about transactions from the business side. I'd done a lot from the law firm side, but really felt that I wanted to learn about them from the business side. So I ultimately decided after the secondment to transition to Scotiabank and was senior legal counsel for several years at Scotiabank, where I supported their treasury group. The treasury group is responsible for all of the funding programs at the bank. So when you hear about them, raising funding, be it in Canada, the US, or internationally, that's typically out of their treasury group. And so I supported that group and also helped with private equity and some high-profile M&A transactions. I'd been at the bank for about 5 years, and one of the things I'd started to do at the bank was I'm really organized. I like to organize, and I really wanted to make our funding programs more efficient. So I started doing a whole bunch of different things, which I thought of as just organizing at the bank. And it turned out that in the legal industry at that time, it was starting to change. New legal technologies were becoming available to enhance the way that you could provide legal services. And at the same time, I had my first son, who's now 10. And I was doing what any typical parent on maternity leave does. I was taking, the millionth photo of my son with my iPhone sleeping, because you can never have too many. And I had this moment. I'm a child of the 70s. So I grew up where telephones were attached to the wall. And I had this moment while taking this photo of my son where I realized that he would never pick up a phone off of the wall. And I realize that sounds silly to anyone not born at a time when phones were on the walls. But it was a real moment for me, and a moment where I made a decision that I didn't want to watch what was happening in the legal industry. I wanted to be part of it. I had no idea what I was doing. I really didn't have any particular skill set that would be useful, or so I thought. But I wound up finding an opportunity back at Osler, where they wanted to create an alternative legal services provider within the firm that would focus on corporate and commercial transactions. So I came back to form what's now called Osler Works Transactional. It's a team of about 50 individuals, both a combination of legal professionals and business professionals, and they provide a wide range of services to our clients. After a few years of getting OWT up and running, I also took on responsibilities for legal operations, which is a multifunctional team that's focused on enterprise and practice transformation at the firm. So really thinking about what we need to do to provide better legal services to our clients, how we provide them, and all that kind of fun stuff. So as you can imagine, AI is playing a rather significant role in my day-to-day at this time. So that's a little bit about where I've been and where I am today.
I think we need to acknowledge and recognize that. Wow. Oh my gosh. And so what did you do the afternoon? Like, you got all that done in the morning, and then what did you do in the afternoon? Kristine, tell us a little bit about you, please.
Well, hi, everybody. It's a really pleasure to be here and with both of you. From McGill. I didn't go to McGill. I went to the rival of McGill because I come from Montreal originally. And my career started out working for a lobby group in Montreal in the mid-90s. And I wanted to really make a difference. I went to school, I did a political science and economics degree, and I wanted to make a difference in politics. But I really didn't know exactly how that was going to unravel. And then I had an opportunity to interview with a company, Accenture, which was then called Andersen Consulting. That was about 30 years ago. And I had no idea really what Andersen Consulting did, and I just decided to go for it. It looked like a really interesting thing, this word consulting. I thought, I'll never be bored. And so 30 years ago, I joined Andersen Consulting, and I moved from Montreal to Ottawa. And I've been on an adventure ever since. A lot of people call careers at Accenture adventures. And that it is a place that you can never get bored. You'll always be learning. And so back in the day, I grew up with the telephone on the wall and the internet that went shh. Yeah, and I had like a block of a computer that I was really amazed about. But I started working in areas where there was crises, like the year 2000, where everything was going to break, like 9/11, what do we do after that? And putting sort of a service towards working with government. And actually, I think there's a lot of D&D folks out in the world. I worked a lot with the Department of Defense and national security organizations, and over time pivoted into cybersecurity. But I took a break from Accenture for quite a while for a variety of different reasons, spent time in industry, so that's something we have in common. Spent time in the defense industry, leading big programs, spent time as an independent consultant while I was raising my children. And then I just returned to Accenture about 3 years ago to continue my Accenture adventure. And my role now is I lead Accenture's security business. I sit on the Americas leadership, the Canadian leadership team, the Americas leadership team, the global management committee of a business within Accenture that's about $10 billion. And here in Canada, we have a workforce of about 200 folks that are highly skilled, hot skills in security that deal with crises and help protect our clients all across the country. So that's my journey, and I'm looking forward to talking more.
Wow. Some powerhouse. Sorry, you said how many billions of dollars is your...
The security business in Accenture is about $10 billion.
$10 billion. What does the 5-year-old think of you today running a $10 billion business?
Well, I just support the $10 billion. We've got a little chunk of that in Canada.
You support, never mind just.
But no, it's really... maybe we'll get into it, but I'm a mom. I have a stepdaughter and two 20-something-year-old boys. I have my partner that I've been with actually for a really long time. Really long time. I was really young. And it seems to have worked out so far. But the 5-year-old, I think, would be like, cool, because there's still actually not a lot of women in cybersecurity. There's not enough, and there's a whole myth around, what it takes to be in cybersecurity. So there's lawyers who I work with who are cyber experts, and there's business people that I work with who are also focused on cyber. So I hope someone who's 5 would say that's pretty cool. So yeah.
Thank you, Kristine. Agatha, what about yourself? How did you get to the stage today?
Nkechi asked me to come. Actually, Nkechi is from Export Development Canada. She'll be speaking in Toronto, as I understand it. So she looped me in here. Pleasure to speak with you guys today. And I want to amplify you guys for showing up today at this audience. So it's great. It's great. So how did I get here? Well, I'm a 70s kid as well, as it turns out. So where I thought I was going to be was a lawyer. So maybe at Osler. I could have been there. Because I was watching shows like Street Legal, LA Law, and I'm like, wow, look at those powerful legal women. And I'm like, I'm going to be that. I want to be in international law. So I did that, my LSAT, and then I got an interview at Export Development Canada. And I thought, well, this is a good opportunity. We help Canadian companies export all over the world. It's international, and there's many aspects to it. So I had an interview 25 years ago, and I'm still there. Great place to work. What I do, I've had many roles at Export Development Canada. It's probably one of the things we'll talk about today, the importance of moving around. I started back in the 70s. We were entering in credit applications that we received by fax, maybe even telex. I remember seeing a telex on there. Fast forward, was involved in robotics implementation at Export Development Canada, portfolio management. Now I manage a business in the insurance and guarantee space, which is $60 billion portfolio. And EDC is proud to say that we are bringing more of Canada to the world by supporting $123 billion of Canadian exports around the world. And the world needs more Canada. Yeah, so great place to work.
There we go. Wow, I know we've got a large group of entrepreneurs that are here as well, and I'm sure they would love to be able to connect with Export Development Canada and have their products and services shipped around the world as well. Natalie, I'm going to start with you, if we can. What unique challenges have you faced as a woman in leadership? How did you overcome them?
So I don't know if this is specific to being a woman, but you'll see that it has a bit of a woman not supporting woman theme to it. Alternative legal services providers in the legal industry are generally regarded as kind of second rate. I made a deliberate decision to step away from a traditional legal career path and take on a challenge that I was really passionate about. I really believed that things were evolving in the legal industry, and I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to see how I could contribute to that evolution. And so I started my journey. I had no people management skills, no leadership skills. I mean, I'd been a lawyer for years, but while you work with people, you don't manage them. While you lead deals, that's not leadership. And so I had a lot of learnings to do. And one of the things that I decided to do was really lean into my network of friends, peers, colleagues for support. I needed to learn things. I needed to be connected to people. I needed to pull on threads and understand how and what I could do with the business that I was building. When you build something really different, everything you do has to be created from the get-go. You can't just I'll pull up an associate job description and use that for my team. That doesn't work. You have to create it all from scratch. And probably one of the most surprising and disheartening challenges that I faced was my professional network and my peer network weren't the most supportive of what I was doing. In fact, they were really skeptical, and frankly, some dismissed me. And so almost overnight, any credibility that I'd earned to date in my career evaporated. And so as I was grappling with setting up a new business, I was also grappling with isolation, in that the very group that I'd been a part of was no longer accepting of me. And so it became a really difficult challenge to be balancing those two and really not have a lot of people to whom I could turn. Thankfully, there were some amazing people at Osler. Osler obviously wanted to set up this business, so they were committed to it. So there was a tremendous amount of internal support, but to see your own network evaporate was pretty distressing. What I did with that, though, was it made me really determined to make it succeed. And its success has really been my personal response to those that doubted me or that failed to support me. And what I learned and what I can now, looking back on all of it, it's really important to define your own success. What is it that you want to achieve? What are the goals that you want to accomplish? And follow those, follow your passion, even if that may not be what is traditionally regarded as the sort of typical path. And so that was a real challenge, and figuring out how to overcome it was really quite challenging, but also quite rewarding to be able to come out whole the other side and be able to look back and realize, what had to happen for me to get where I am today. So.
Wow. So what really got you through that then? I'm hearing the passion. Is that like, and it was just sort of a little bit of let me show you?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, 100%. Yeah, but I was really passionate about what I was doing. I really believed in what I was doing. And over time, I was connecting with, legal technology vendors. And I was a lawyer, so I don't have a computer science background. I used a computer, but I didn't really have a lot of knowledge, and, being able to connect with those vendors, and they were really excited. And so I basically had to build a new network. And as I built that new network, I was able to feed off of their energy, off of their advice and guidance. And, now there's far more momentum in the industry. It's been growing over the years. And obviously with generative AI, it's sort of reached a new level. But I think it was really about, being very determined and very passionate, and then also creating a new network.
Wow. And I heard that you really sort of followed their advice and guidance. And so, Kristine, that brings me to you. And my question is, what's the best piece of feedback that you've ever received? And how did it change your approach?
I think one thing I was thinking about this earlier when we were talking backstage is that I smile a lot. My mom always told me that I should smile. I think she was afraid that I would have resting bitch face if I didn't. And so I was kind of trained to always smile. And I feel like that puts people at ease. And I was saying that backstage, that I was your smile was putting me at ease as we got up on stage. So and I've had actually a number of clients tell me that, because often when in cybersecurity or in different kinds of difficult situations, people are really stressed, and a kind smile can really go a long way to putting people at ease and calming people down during difficult times when they're not sure what's going to happen to their business. So that's one area. So the approach is smile, because it changes how people feel around you.
Fair enough. I mean, I love what you said about RBF. I have heard that acronym so many times, but I can't be gender specific. So being gender neutral, if you want to use this, and any of you can use this with the men that you work with, it's RJF, which stands for resting jerk face.
Jerk face.
You look like a jerk. So smile and you'll get a lot further along.
Yes,
so I love that advice.
And thank you for teaching me something new. Apologies if I was politically incorrect.
No, hey, if women want to use that with each other, you go right ahead. But I just want to have your back.
Yeah.
I'm here for you.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks. And I would also say that another piece of advice that I had from actually working with a lot of folks who are in the forces. So I went in my time in the defense industry, I worked with a lot of people who were retired military and served their country. And I'm a former military spouse. My husband served in the military for 20-something years. And when you compare people who are putting their life, themselves in harm's way, somebody once told me, Kristine, you can stop running around because it's a deadline, but nothing bad's going to happen to you, right? And so that actually rings true to me probably now, 15 years later after working with that person. So I also tell myself, okay, everything's going to be fine. No.
Got it. Agatha, what about you? What was the best piece of feedback that you ever received, and how did it change your approach?
It's along the same lines. Can I give you two?
Yeah.
Because one I think is along the same lines, and I was working on this large transformation project. A couple of people, actually is one of the largest ones that EDC had ever done. It's controversial. And of course, you can never get everything everyone wants out of those types of transformation projects. And the one leader, and I'll never forget this, said, "We're not saving lives." Like in some cases you are. Like if you're Canadian Medical Association, I know you're like, okay, you really are. But you know, on the day-to-day, there's no problem that you can't solve. And it's just how you solve it, how you choose to react to it is the most important. And so whenever I get into a really tough situation and we're in a geopolitical, I liked how one of the speakers said it diplomatically, a very delicate geopolitical situation, you're going to have people that are really stressed. You're going to have people that take that on both personally, at home, and at work, and they can't escape from it. So then you layer on all the additional productivity measures that everyone's implementing, and suddenly, you know, everything seems like it's a priority. Everything seems stressful. So it's important in those moments, and I think even saying those words is helpful to your team. Look, we're not saving lives here, right? So what can we do today to make this, you know, to move this along? So that was one important piece of advice. The other one that I thought was important, and you know, growing up, you know, as a West Indian woman, you know, one of the things is like, if you just work hard and if you just keep plugging away, someone's going to notice, and just keep working hard, you know, but be the best and do the most, right? And I kind of grew up with that mentality. Doing that is great. But I thought a lot about the speaker today that was saying amplification. And I remember also working on another project, walking into a senior VP's office, and I chose him as a mentor on purpose because he didn't know me at all, wasn't really in what I was doing, but I'm like, look, I need some advice. Like, what else can I be doing? And his question to me back is, where are you? So think about that. Where are you? Here I was working away. I thought I was in everything. I thought I was in every meeting. But did he see me? And when he said see me, he didn't mean me. It's like, how are you amplifying your team? Like, you're doing a lot of things, but where are you talking about the impacts of those things that you're doing? That completely changed my view of everything. And I'm like, it's not about me. It's about, like, my team is doing awesome things. I am responsible for making sure, evangelizing what the team is doing and putting that out there. And that's the kind of thing that amplifies everyone. But in an indirect way, it amplifies you as well. And it also energizes other people to go, hey, that team seems interesting, so now I want to join it. Or they seem innovative, so now I'm going to want to do that. So I think, where are you is important. It's like, how are you showing up for your team? And everything else flows from there. Wow.
I love what you're saying because it reminds me of the acronym of PI. And are you familiar with this one? Okay, so draw a circle, if you will, and divide the circle into 3 equal pieces. P is for your performance. So that's what you do, all those results that you were getting that were so amazing. I is for your image. So that's your leadership brand. What's your reputation in the business? But E is for your exposure. And that's your champions and your supporters. Who's talking about you when you're not in the room? And so, yeah, where are you? I love it. So think about your pie, and how would you divide your pie? Cool, thank you. Natalie, I'm going to come to you. Mentorship and sponsorship can play a significant role in career growth. I guess that's the I and the E part of it. What role have they played in your journey? And how do you build those relationships with mentors?
So mentors have played a really important role in my journey. When I was in university, I didn't really know when I was doing my undergrad, I was in kinesiology at Western. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had some thoughts. Maybe I would go to law school. Maybe I would do a master's, but I wasn't really committed to anything. I had the opportunity to take a class with a professor. It was sport in the law class. And he was wonderful. He would give me extra cases. I think he could tell that maybe I had an aptitude for something. I had no idea. But he would give me extra things, or he'd sit me down and we'd walk and we'd talk through cases, and I became really, really interested. And he strongly encouraged me to go to law school, or at least think about it. And really, that is how I wound up at law school. And so I have an incredible amount to thank him for getting me there. I think mentors are really important. It's important that you actively seek out mentors. They don't just come. Sometimes they come to you, and that's amazing. But it really helps to actively seek them out. I grew up in a small city, and so when I went to New York City, I was totally overwhelmed. I mean, it is a big city. I was at a big law firm, just so far beyond what I was used to. And so I actively sought out people that could not only help me professionally, just in terms of the work I was doing, but also professionally in terms of, how to handle myself in a variety of different situations, not to wear heels through Chicago O'Hare airport, basic things that I was so naive, I didn't know. And it really made a difference in my career to seek out those individuals. And it does require work. You have to put work into it. You have to find the people that are the right mentors for you. So just because someone might seem like a great mentor doesn't mean that they're a great mentor for you. So it's really important to look around the room and find somebody who you can learn from, who will help you grow and develop. I think that is so critical, and they come in all different forms. And they don't necessarily have to be someone who, from a hierarchy perspective, is higher than you. They can be someone anywhere in that chain, and they can be professional, or they can be somebody in the community. But I think it's really important to work and to seek out mentors that are good mentors for you.
At 62, I have a lot of reverse mentors, so a lot of younger people helping me with social media, how to use my iPad. But I guess the other follow-up question for you, though, is do you literally hey, would you be my mentor? Or do you just engage with these people and realize you're learning from them?
I think you engage with them. I think so. When I was in New York, there was this one senior associate, and I got to work with her this one time, and I realized that she was technically quite brilliant, and she was tough. So there was a lot of tough love, but I recognized this is someone that I really want to work with more, and so I sought out opportunities to engage with her, be it socially or in the office, so that I could earn those opportunities to work with her on a more frequent basis, so that I could really learn from her. I think it comes in, you can call, I've cold called people. And so I think it really depends on the situation and what it is that you want to accomplish. There was a time in my life where I was in law school and I wanted this particular internship during the summer. I'd heard about it. I really didn't know how to go about applying for it. So I just literally shot an email to the head of the program and said, hi, I want this internship. And then she called me and I got it. And we engaged in a number of conversations, and I obviously had to prove myself to get it, but I just did it by cold call. Other times, you're presented with an opportunity where you recognize that you might have something to learn from them, and then you can, just continue to engage with them.
So what I'm definitely hearing, though, is you did not wait for the Human Resources Department to create an official mentoring program for you. It's you go out there, you get it. So Kristine, to that point then, what advice would you give to women about advocating for themselves, whether it's negotiating, asking for a promotion, or just seeking out new opportunities?
Yeah, I think the idea of working hard, the idea that you're going to work hard and then that somebody's going to notice, gets you part way there. But in terms of putting yourself out there for new opportunities and reinventing yourself, the hard work, it doesn't talk for itself. And you have to really your own best advocate, and then the mentors and the champions and your other folks that work for you too. So, the fact that you would have what I like to call followership is really important, because that teamwork that uplifts you, you have to promote yourself. And I think all too often, we just think, okay, well, someone else is going to look out for us. But that doesn't always, as much as you would think it happens, you really have to make sure that people know what your goals are and what you, to your point earlier, what you think success is. So you have to tell people what you want. And you have to be a bit purposeful about it in terms of timelines. Even if you have a timeline that you have in mind, you need to express it. So I think being purposeful and making sure that you advocate for yourself so that your whole network knows what's next for you. And it can really be anything too. So what's next for one person isn't the same as the other. The other thing I would add too is when you're advocating for yourself, sometimes everyone thinks, well, you have to advocate for the next step up. But in today's world, with everything that's changing, I think very often advocating for lateral moves, what would traditionally be called lateral moves, is equally important so that you really understand what the business is all about. And it's not just a linear journey up a ladder, that whatever that ladder might look like for you. So those are a couple of my thoughts on that.
Excellent. I mean, I love what you said, though, because I from an HR background, leadership can only be evaluated subjectively. There's not really a measure that says you're a good leader. However, followership is something you can measure. How many followers do you have? And so, Agatha, that brings me to you. I have somebody in mind that I think you might be talking about here, but I don't want to put any pressure on you. What do you believe makes a leader truly inspiring? And what qualities or skills are essential to lead with confidence today?
I have none of it. No, just kidding. No, I'm striving for these things. Okay, the way I'll respond to it is what I find inspiring in other leaders. And there's a couple of things. One is storytelling. The ability to take something simple and paint a picture of what things could look like in the future and tell a compelling story. Because, if you think back to the previous presentation, you had purpose, strategy, right? A purpose. Well, that's what people follow. So if they don't believe in it, then they won't follow it. How do they believe in it? Well, you have to be able to tell the story. So I think storytelling is an important facet. It's something that I strive to work on. Growing up, I think, if I think about my mom growing up, one of the fun activities, so she was an English teacher, so one of her fun activities was like, I'd come to her and say, can I go out and, can I get some money, or can I go out and do this? And she'd be like, no. No. How about you go and write a story? It's like, and this would be, we'd all have to do this. And we'd also call my mom the red pen, because afterwards she'd take the story and then so that was her name, the red pen. And she'd like scratch it and she'd give it back and go like, okay, write it again. And I didn't know at that time, but that was developing skills on storytelling, which I carried to, but I think the best people to follow are the ones that could tell the story and paint the picture. That's the first inspiration. I think the second thing is, I heard this term the other day, and I thought I'd bring it here. Just yesterday, actually. Bold humility. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean, like, being humble doesn't mean you're sinking into a corner. But it does mean that you need to know when you don't know something. You need to surround yourself with people who really know the thing. You need to be able to be humble enough to admit mistakes. And you need to be able to, and you need to say that out loud when you've really screwed up. And that happens a lot. But the more you do that, the more you develop the trust. But you have to be bold in your humility by being curious. I don't know anything, so I'm going to be curious about you, to learn about you, and learn about all the other teams that I need to be able to make this thing work. So I think bold humility is the other characteristic of a good leader.
Wow. And go ahead, do you have something to add?
I love that, because I think when you think about leadership, it's a skill. So it's something in my mind that exists, no matter who you are, you can be a leader. It is not something that's related to rank. And the way you described it was really about a values-based leadership. And so no matter what style or what assessment you take, that, there's so many different ways of labeling what leadership is. I think the the roots of values like humility can really go a long way.
And I like what Natalie was saying about being challenged, right? You chose someone that you know, like that's something that you felt was important. And so when your team sees you communicating with someone that you know is challenging and you open yourself up to that, then they feel like, okay, I can do that too. And so I think that's important. Like if you're bringing in people that you know already don't like your idea, but you're bringing them to the table and your team's seeing that and you're trying to figure out, okay, well, how can we work together? Like that's the example. And I think finding mentors that challenge you is also the key of a good leader.
All right. I'm loving this conversation. I'm just like eavesdropping on every last moment. You know, and I think about inspiration, which was the question, right? And so many people can tell us about an inspirational song or a quote or a poem, but often they can't define the word inspiration. So we have a medical association group that's here. They can probably tell us what it is. If we check your respiration rate, what is it? You're breathing, right? And so in versus out. So inspiration simply is, do these people breathe life into you? Or do they suck the energy out of you like a dead Duracell battery? I hope you're breathing life into people. So Natalie, I want to come to you next with this one. What trends or shifts should women leaders be prepared for in the years ahead?
What a time to be asking that question. So I will talk a little bit about AI. It consumes a lot of my thoughts. I think there's no question that artificial intelligence will have an impact on all of us, on all of our businesses. What exactly, you hear a lot about predictions and what people are thinking about the future. Some people go down a really crazy path. But I think, you know, when I think about my own business and my team and the firm, you know, I'm really thinking about, all right, you know, what do I need to do to make sure that we as a firm are keeping pace with the change, and the change is happening so quickly, and it's so hard to predict what's going to happen. And so you're just kind of, as you said, you know, bold humility is sort of the day-to-day where you're trying stuff out, you're throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and hoping something sticks and hoping that you get it right. But I do think whether we like it or not, you know, artificial intelligence is here. We all need to understand it. We need to use it. We need to figure it out within our businesses. And I think that while there are a lot of challenges associated with it, there's a lot of benefits. And I think there's a lot we can learn from it. So I would say that's one of the things that certainly we're thinking about a lot as we think about trends for the future.
Wow. Kristine, what about you? Are you seeing any trends for the future that women need to be prepared for?
100%. I think it's a theme that we've heard throughout the day. The economic instability that we have globally, the geopolitical instability, the technological pace of change, and all of those together, I think we're in for a ride in the future. I can't underscore enough the importance of generative AI. The impact that it's going to have on our lives and the lives of our children, I personally think, is going to foundationally change what we do, what our jobs look like, and we can't be afraid of it. So I love hearing what you're doing just to get your hands dirty, because I think about it a lot, not just because I'm getting up there. I think about it a lot, not just in how I need to lead, because to your point earlier, it's not just surrounding yourself with other people that know the answers, but like, will anybody really know the answers? Are you going to go to the machine for the answers? So how I think about a lot, like, what does that mean? I also think about it just for my children. I wonder, because they're already using it, and similar to I get coached all the time from folks at work, from a younger generation, about little tips that I can use to make my day a little bit more productive. I really do think about it from my kids' point of view, and what that means for their jobs and what they pursue in life and what kind of skills that they're going to be able to have. So as a mom, I think it's going to be a very impactful technology already. Did that kind of go around a little bit? But yeah.
We're with you. We're
Yeah,
absolutely with
I don't
you.
think anybody really knows the answer, and certainly generative AI is going to be adopted in many different ways, and you have to make sure that you're adopting it in a responsible way. But that's definitely a trend. So how does it impact your leadership style? How does it impact your work, your business, and your own family?
Beautiful. Agatha, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll come down the panel in opposite direction, if you will. What's one piece of advice you'd give your younger self, or to the next generation of women leaders that are in our audience today?
Do the thing. That's my advice. Do the thing. Don't hesitate. So, we talked about, how do you become transversal? Because the world is not operating in silos. Like at work, you can't just learn one thing. You need to find the string, right? They talked about that today. How do you find the string that connects things? Well, I can't identify the connectors if I don't know the connectors. So that's where the lateral moves are really important. Like, if I don't move around, I won't be able to identify the opportunity. So I know, for me, that's been critical in my career. I've taken things I had no clue about. So I was in risk management, and I was, doing finance stuff and, doing deals and stuff like that. And then one day they're like, hey, would you like to run a technology project? And I'm like, I don't know anything about technology. Or would you like to set up the agile function product owners? I'm like, I don't know anything about that. But I'll surround myself with people that do, and then I'll learn through that experience. But now there is no initiative that you can do that doesn't touch finance, technology, legal, marketing, everything. So those transversal moves help you with that network. So I'd say if you get an opportunity and that's traditionally, it might be a stereotype that we self-select out of things. This is your moment to do the thing. Don't hesitate. Do the thing. Take the chance, and it's going to be good that you took the chance. People are like, oh, that person is willing to take risks. And because you took that risk, you can guarantee people will help you on the other end of that. Because you took that risk for us, I'm going to help you find your next thing. That's always been in my experience, and that's helped me. So do the thing would be, don't be afraid. Take that chance. And if you land in a rough spot, there's still a learning in that. There's teams where I really believe in surrounding yourself with good people. So where I choose to work, I want to be around good people. And that's the amplification, right? That's going to help you. But sometimes you land in a team and it's like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know, this is not going so well. But there's learning, because you learn, in that situation, you just take from that experience the learnings, and you already plan for your next thing. So yeah, that's what I'd say. Do the thing would be my advice.
There we go. Thank you. And so in a word or two, if you would, what would your advice be, Kristine? In a word.
In a word. So I love that. So do the thing, and then reinvent yourself.
Oh, I love it. Reinvent yourself. Natalie, what about for you?
Say it's okay to take the road less traveled.
Ooh, uncharted territories. And this was the charted territory we had with this executive panel. What do you think, Ottawa, of your own examples of leadership here? Thank you so much. That is our time with the executive panel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.